Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm excited to start doing some painting with everyone. Sorry I'm running behind. We had some technical issues, but I'm here with you now, so yay. So I am going to go ahead and jump right in. So today, this is the painting that we're going to do. It looks like this. And it's a sunset painting. All this was done with watercolors, but I did ask this time that we do you provide or you have a liquid black and a liquid black and white paint so that you can get a better effect with the cactus and the stars and whatnot. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling out my supplies. Um, so I have my sheet of paper right here, and I also have my cup of water and my paintbrush. Well, paintbrushes. There's supposed to be one that's a skinny paintbrush as well. So I'm going to use, for the sake of this painting, I'm actually about to put these two paintbrushes away. And I'm going to pull out a thick brush and a skinny brush. So I have all my awesome brushes here. I'm gonna use this paintbrush for to help paint, and then I'm also going to use a skinnier one. So I think I'm going to go with this paintbrush so you can see how skinny that is. Whoops. So I'm going to go ahead and put those away. And what else? I have my watercolor palette right here. And this is just the same watercolor palette I've been using this whole time. So we can go ahead and pull that out. And let me grab my liquid paint. I have a little paint tray for mine just so I can squirt my liquid paints in there. If you have a different paint tray, then that's perfectly okay. Or if you maybe you're using a cup instead of a paint tray, that's okay. Or maybe you might have a paper plate or a styrofoam plate to put your liquid paints in. All that will work. So let me pull out my white and my black. I am using, what is this, Derwent. They're these little paints that I actually picked up from Walmart. My watercolor paper, these paints, and the black paintbrush you see me use all the time, they all came from Walmart in a little kit. So they're easily accessible if you ever want to go and pick you up some. So I'm going to just squirt a little bit of black in my paint tray right here. So I have a little bit of black. I'm going to screw this back on. And I have my white. I'm going to go ahead and squirt some of that in here. And I'm going to put this back. So now that I've squirted my paints, my black and my white are in here. That's all we're really going to need for out of our liquid paint. So I'm going to go ahead and put these away and put this to the side because we won't use them again unless we happen to run out of black paint or white paint, which is very unlikely because we're only going to use those colors for a couple of different things. So I'm going to go ahead and pull my camera down so you can see my paper. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. So if you are on right now, say hi. I would love to see everyone who is watching. So just want to make sure everyone can see me. I'm going to pull my camera down. Okay, if you're on, say hi. I'm excited to do this painting with you guys. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my thick paintbrush and I'm going to make sure I dip it in my water cup. And I'm going to actually, with no paint on this paintbrush, I'm going to wipe it all across my page. So I'm just taking the water on that brush and I'm just moving it side to side with the water all over my page, like so. Side to side. Okay, and make sure I get those edges because I can see that I didn't get my edges very well. And we are all set there. So now the first thing we're going to do, well, second thing really, is we're going to grab our paint palette, open up your paint palette, and find a darker yellow color. Because this palette isn't like a super high quality palette, it's something, you know, that I got off from Amazon. I'm going to want to go with a dark yellow color just because I really want my yellow to stand out. So I'm going to go with this yellow color right here, grabbing that thick paintbrush again. I'm going to go ahead and just get some yellow on my brush. So we're going to pull that paintbrush to the side like so. I mean my paint palette, put my paint palette to the side. I'm going to also have my napkin. Have your napkin handy for this because we're going to be doing a lot of rinsing of our paint brushes as we go along. So you're really going to want to be able to dry that brush off and make sure you get the paint completely off whenever we start switching colors. So just making sure that I have my yellow on my brush. I'm going to slide my paper up a little bit. So I'm going to scoot the camera back some and slide this up. Okay. So go to the very bottom of your page and we're going to walk our fingers up 1, 2, 3, 4 steps with your fingers. So about 3/4 of your page down. So we're going to walk our fingers up 4 steps again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to right there move side to side with your brush, painting in a yellow color, a nice yellow. So I'm going to get some more water on my brush because I want to make sure that my brush is nice and wet. And I'm going to darken in that yellow color. And I'm going to really make sure I get it in there good. And I'm going to also take it a little bit above how we started painting side to side right there. You're going to want to move your paint up a little bit as you go. And then we're also going to take our yellow down. So I'm gonna get a little bit more water on my brush and I'm gonna move that color down. You're not gonna wanna paint all the way down because we're gonna move into our red color next and we don't wanna get yellow where our red's gonna be because we wanna have a nice red section on our page and then we wanna have a yellow and then the in-between, which is where we're gonna get our orange, because whenever you mix red and yellow together, you get orange. So making sure that we have the space between, having enough space between where our yellow is and where our red's going to be, which is going to be up underneath. And then we're taking the yellow down a little bit as we go, just so that we have a nice middle ground for whenever our red paint and our yellow paint finally do get to meet. Make a nice pretty orange color with that. So I think that we have enough yellow right there. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my red color. I don't have like a super dark red on here, but that's perfectly okay. Um, I'm going to rinse off my brush. Right now, it's okay if I don't get, 100% of the yellow off, just because we want to be able to create a nice orange color in the middle. But you want to make sure that you get it as clean as you can, just so that we don't have a whole section of orange and no red at all. So I'm going to go ahead and get my brush nice and wet, go into my red color right here. Get my brush nice and red, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint that red starting at the bottom of the page. And before I do mix my get to the place where our yellow and our red are going to mix, I want to make sure that I get my red as dark as I can, even though this red isn't super dark. If you don't get it super dark, no problem, don't worry about it. We will it'll still look really pretty. Some pretty sunset colors. So you may notice where you start seeing some white streaks in your page. Just really try to get more paint on your brush and try to darken in those white spaces as best as you can. If you're watching, make sure you share this video so more of our friends can see our sunset painting, and I'm sure that everyone would love to join in the fun. So make sure you're clicking the share button and commenting, say hi. So I'm going to go ahead and darken that in just a little bit more, because we're about to get to the place where our colors get to mix. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get some more water on my brush. I'm not going to rinse my brush completely, just dipping it in the water to get it wet. And then don't dip it back in the paint. Just take your brush and start mixing those colors. Make sure that you don't have any lines where you can see what you shouldn't have lines, where you can see where our colors like touch, because we're mixing and blending those colors in really well. So just taking your brush and blending as best as you can. Mixing them back and forth like this. Okay. So now I'm going to take my brush, rinse it, and I'm going to go back into my yellow, because I would like to get, I want to define that orange space more. So I'm going to get some more yellow, and I'm going to go ahead and go over where the space in between our red and our yellow, just to kind of mix those colors in together. Pretty, I love it. We're getting that orange color in now. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to take my brush. I'm going to take my brush and dip it in the water. Rinse that brush out. So swirl. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So swirl that brush around, and I'm going to pat it on my paper towel. Make sure that I got the color out of it. And then I'm going to dip it back in that water again, tap it, get the excess water off the edge by utilizing the edge of your cup. So like this. And I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to start at the top and going side to side on the page like this, occasionally dipping it back in that water, getting that excess off of our brush like this, dip it in the water, get the excess off, and we're going to go all the way down the page and just try to blend in any white streaks that we may see, making sure that we mix in those colors. This is beautiful. I love it. So I'm going to do that one more time. Dip it in that brush, swirl your brush around. Make sure you get any excess water off of your brush by utilizing the edge of your water cup. And we're going to just take our brush starting at the top and we're going to make side to side movements with our brush going all the way down. Getting rid of those white streaks and just making sure we have little bits of color going all the way down our page. Beautiful. Okay. So this is where we're at so far. How are you guys doing? It looks so pretty. I love it. I love it. I love it. So now as we're moving towards the top of our page, we're going to start playing in some blues and some greens. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, which color do we want to use? I'm going to go with, we want to save the darkest blue that we have for the top of our page. So the blue that I want to save, I know this one's a little bit darker, but I really want to use this blue at the top of the page. So right now I'm going to go with this dark blue right here, and I'm going to mix a little bit of green with it. So I'm going to show you what to do. So starting, first, we're going to start see where our yellow is, and we're going to walk our fingers up about 4 steps, kind of like how we did in the beginning where we started at the bottom, walking those fingers up your page 4 steps. Now we're going to start at the top of our yellow, where our yellow is, and we're going to walk our fingers up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right about here, we are going to go into, get our page wet a little bit more wet again. Sorry, just taking some water and making sure that my page is nice and wet, ready to absorb all of our pretty watercolor paints. So I'm going to pull my paint palette over here so you guys can see. Starting at the top of our yellow, walking our fingers up 1, 2, 3, 4. Right across here, we're going to go into that blue color I was telling you guys about. So I'm going to go with this dark blue color right here. And we're going to start up here with our blue. Moving it side to side. That's such a pretty blue color. So I'm going to get some more blue on my brush. Moving it side to side. And now I'm going to get a little bit more, just because I want it to be a little bit darker on the page. Oh, the sun, the clouds must have covered up the sun. No worries, everyone can still see. I'm going to pull my paper down a little bit just to make sure everyone can see my page. Scoot the camera back a little bit more. Side to side. Beautiful. I love it. So now I'm going to grab a green color. I'm going to go with this darker green color right here. And I'm going to mix it in the space between my yellow and my blue right here. That's a really pretty green color. So grabbing a little bit more of that same green and mixing it all the way down the page. Well, not all the way down the page, but all the way down in between that space between our yellow and our blue. Side to side with our brush. Nice long strokes. Beautiful. I love it. So we're going to get this space a little bit darker. And how we're going to do that is we're going to dip into our black. So I'm going to get my brush wet and I'm going to play with the gray and the black. So I have a black right here. Oh, it might be a little bit hard to see it. So I have my black right here, and then I have a grayer color right here. I'm going to start with my gray. So I'm going to get my brush all in that gray. It's already wet with water. So if you haven't dipped it in your water cup, go ahead and do that. Dip it in the water cup like this. Wait, you can't see my water cup. Dip it in the water cup like this. Get any excess off. It's okay that I didn't completely get all the green off my brush. I didn't swirl it around and rub it on my paper towel because I intentionally left the green on there. I didn't want to get all the green off of my brush. I just wanted to get my brush wet. I'm going to get some gray on my brush, and I'm going to take it across that same space that I have my green color. So taking that gray and really getting it into that green. I love this. I love it. I love it. So I'm gonna get my brush a little bit more wet. Dip it in that gray color one more time. Start from the top of that green where you have, you can see that green line. Bring it across. And it's okay if it gets in your blue. So what I'm doing is just moving it side to side. It's getting into the our blue color a little bit. That's perfectly fine. We want that. So as you're going across that line where you could definitely see where your blue stops and your green starts, you're going to take your brush with that gray color and you're going to just move it. You're going to blend out those lines between your blue and your green using your gray brush or your gray paint on your brush, and you're going to move side to side starting at that top area, and we're going to bring it down. So we're about to do the same thing that we did with our yellows going into our orange and red color. We're going to start streaking our page with water. So we're going to take our brush, swirl it around the cup, get the excess off using the edge of our cup, and we're going to just take the color all the way down. And we're actually about to start going into the yellow. So go ahead and use your brush and take it down into the yellow. You don't want your brush to dry out, so make sure you keep dipping it in those water cups. Bringing it down into the yellow on your page. So we're about to dip into our black a little bit. Oh, this is beautiful. I know I'm going up and down the page now. So just going up and down, side to side. Well, not up and down like this, but moving our arm up and down as we move our brush side to side on the page. So I'm about to get my brush a little bit more wet dip into that black. And the reason why we're going into the black is because the black on our paint palette, or at least my paint palette, won't be very dark once we put it on the page. So we're going to take this black color, and we're going to start at the top where we have our define blue section right here, and where we can see where we start mixing the blue with the green and the gray. We're going to streak our page just going down, and we're going to stop right before we get into the yellow section. Okay, so we're just going to, it's going to go on dark, but keeping in mind that we're going to blend it out as we continue to go along. So moving it side to side, going all the way down. Getting our brushes wet once again. Bringing it down. Not letting it get into our yellow, of course. So continue dipping your brush in the water frequently and bringing down those colors. Okay, that's looking beautiful. So now we're going to start playing with our blues a little bit more. So that same blue color you used at the top, go ahead, get your brush wet, and you're going to dive back into that same blue color. We're going to go back over the section that's already blue. So we're going to make it even more blue. And I love this blue so much. I might just take it all the way to the top of the page. It's just such a pretty blue color. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. We're going to take this blue. Well, actually, no. We're going to take our blue, and instead of taking it all the way up, we're going to take it down into that blackish, greenish, grayish space right now. So once you take it down into that space, be careful to not go back into your pretty blue area. You're going to leave that alone for now. Make sure you're rinsing that brush. And we're going to, this is where we really start to use that paper towel more. We're going to go ahead and we're going to dry it off on the paper towel right here. Getting it wet. Go back into that blue color, because we don't want to get that up here. Going into that blue, and we're going to take it down again. Oh, this is beautiful. Side to side with that brush. And what I'm about to do is I'm going to grab a little bit more of that blue, and I'm going to just kind of put it down into that grayish, blackish space. Oh, I love it. I love it so much. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone because this is just so pretty and I'm already in a place where I love it so much. So now we're going to go ahead, rinse that brush off, really, really rinse it, swirl it around over and over and over. Make sure that you get all of that color off of your brush. Use your napkin, paper towel, dry it off. Dip it back in that in your water cup and go ahead and grab another blue color. I'm going to grab this blue right here and I'm going to put it at the very top of my page. It's such a sweet baby blue color. I love it. So rinsing that, we're not rinsing, but getting that brush wet again, dipping it back into that blue paint and bringing it down. Okay, this is so pretty. Making sure that you get rid of all the white spaces on your page as best as you can. Okay. Beautiful. So now that we have it just like this, we're going to take that same blue color that's right here and we're going to grab, we're going to grab some of that and we're going to start mixing the two blues. So we're going to take this blue and start moving it up. So go into that darker blue that we used right before we hit that top color, and we're going to start where you have the line between where we have our light blue and our dark blue. Start right there, take it across your page, and then start moving it upwards on the page. Beautiful. And we're almost done with the sunset part. And once we're done with our sunset part, we're going to start on the mountains and the cactus. Or the cacti. I guess when you have more than one cactus, it would be called cacti, right? Okay. Going to grab just a little bit more of that blue one more time. Start at the bottom of our blue section and move it up to the very top. Start at the bottom of the blue section and move it up to the top. Making sure you're taking big long strokes with your brush, going side to side on your page. Okay. So this is where we're at so far. I personally am so in love with this right now. Like, it is so beautiful. Da, 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 da. Okay. So, everyone doing good? I don't know. I love it so much. I wish that like a rainbow was what we were doing right now because this is like a very pretty rainbow page. So what we're about to do is we're going to go ahead and close up our watercolors because we're done with that. And we are going to set our watercolor palette to the side and pull out those liquid watercolor paints, or liquid watercolors. Yours might be acrylic paint. tempera paint, whatever paint it is that you're using, go ahead and pull out those liquid colors, your black and your white. Once you have those already out, grab your skinny brush. And once you have your skinny brush, you are going to, I know we said we were going to do the mountains and stuff first, but we're actually going to do the stars. So I'm going to move my camera back down. Go ahead and dip it in that water cup. Well, I'm dipping mine in the water cup because I'm using watercolors. But regardless, go ahead and dip it in the water cup because you want your white paint to come off a little bit more runny so you can get that pretty star effect. So what I did, I dipped it in the water cup and I'm swirling it around in my palette. So if you have a plate, if you have a bowl, if you have a cup, just dip your brush in your water cup. Don't feel like you have to pour the water into your paint. You don't want to do that. You just want to get a little bit on your brush, swirl it around that white paint, and get a good amount on your brush. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull my page down a little bit so that my blue is a little bit more accessible to me. And we're going to flick our wrists and just throw the paint on the top of our page like this. Boop. It's not wanting to come off. Let me get a little bit more water on my brush then. Or if you want to do the easy way, if you don't, because I'm starting to make a mess and I don't want to get paint everywhere, although flicking is the more fun way to do it. You can take your brush as well and you can just do dots. Just dot your brush all over. Just dot, 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 dot. Or if you want to go ahead and keep flicking, or maybe you want to do one of these motions. Wait, let me try it. This one is messier, so keep that in mind. But if you want to do it the messy way, if you want to do the wrist flicking, if you want to do dots, all that is perfectly okay. So whatever you feel is the most fun and the easiest for you to do. And depending on if you want to make a bigger mess or a smaller mess, it's completely up to you. Just have fun with it. And you want to keep it in the bluish area. However, if you also want to bring it down a little bit into your grayer area, you can do that as well. It's completely up to you. I am going to bring mine down into my gray area. I mean, into the gray area, the grayish greenish area. However, you do want to make sure that you do not go any lower than the middle of your greenish grayish area. So the middle of your page and up is perfectly okay. However, anything below the on the bottom half of your page, you don't want to get white paint there, okay? Okay. I've been doing these all different motions. So whichever one you're doing, taking your finger, putting your brush and just flicking the paint on there. If you're doing that, you can wrap it up. If you're doing the other method, the dots, you can wrap up your dots or whatever it is that you're doing. I'm doing all three just to remind you of the different motions you can use to get your stars. Okay, so I'm gonna quick wipe off my finger because it's covered in white paint now from my fun paint flicking. Um, but so we are done with that. And so you're going to take your skinny brush once again. You're going to rinse your skinny brush off as best as you can. Getting all the white off. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go into your black paint. My paintbrush is dry. I did not dip it back in the watercolor, in my water. However, if you are deciding that if you would rather stick with your watercolor palette, you would go ahead at this point and dip your paintbrush into your water for your black, because we're about to dip into our black paint. But if you're using the palette, then go ahead and get your water cup and make sure you get your brush really wet before you go and dive into those paints. If you don't have any of the liquid paints, it is okay that you're using your watercolor palette, but I'm using liquid paints because the liquid paint does give you the best results because you can get it as perfectly dark as you need it to. So if you're using liquid paints, you don't need to dip it in the water. You can just go ahead and dip it in the paint. And right where we see that our red and orange start to meet is where you're going to start drawing or start painting with your black. So making sure that I get the excess paint off of my brush. So if you want to do start walking your fingers up, it's just going to be about one step up with your fingers, or if you could put your finger down and where the line is on your finger, put your finger down the line on your finger at the very top of your pointer finger on the edge of your page, and right above there is where you're going to start painting. Okay, so we're going to paint one line going across, except this line is going to have hills and bumps and it's not going to be straight at all. Okay, so we're going to take our brush, little hill, making sure that it's not straight at all. Oh, get some more paint on my brush. Okay. Beautiful. So now that you have your line, or not so straight line, your little, we'll call it a line though, the line going across your page, you can put your brush, I'm going to lay mine to the side. So I don't want to put it back in the water yet. I'm just going to lay it on my palette, and I'm going to grab my thick paintbrush. And there is still paint on this brush, so I'm going to rinse that paint off right quick by stirring my cup around. Stirring my paintbrush around in my cup. And I'm going to grab my napkin, and I'm just going to make sure that I get any extra paint off of my brush. Okay, so we're going to grab a, with our thick paintbrush, go into that same black color that you were just using and make sure you get black all over and just paint below your line. So we have our line going right here, and just take your brush and just paint all that in. almost finished. I'm going to dip it in water right quick. Getting it nice and dark. And I'm going to take the very bottom of my brush and just make sure to get in those extra spaces. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to put this brush back in the water cup and we're going to pull out our skinny brush one more time. And we're going to start on the last part of our art, which is going to be our cactus or cacti, since we're going to do two. So for this part, go ahead and dip your paintbrush in the water if you're using watercolors. This is still liquid watercolor, so I'm still going to dip it in there. And I'm going to get the excess off, rubbing it around in that black paint. And what you're going to do is you're going to start by painting. We're going to start on the right side of our page. So for your right, make two, give me a thumbs up. Wait. Thumb, fingers out, hold them flat. The hand that makes the letter L is your left and the other one is your right. So on the right side of your page, you are going to grab that black brush or the brush with your black paint on it, your skinny brush, and you're going to paint a line going straight up. And we're going to keep it going up until it gets into that grayish area. So everyone have their line going straight up into the gray area. Beautiful. So now we are going to, I'm going to go back into that black paint and you're going to paint a little curve once you get to the top. So we're going to curve it and bring that line back down. So now I'm getting my brush wet again, going back into that black, and I'm going to paint the inside. Okay. And I want to try to get it as straight as possible. Oh, I'm starting to run low on my black paint, so I'm about to grab some more black paint right quick. If you need to grab some more paint too, then you're in the same boat as me, so let's grab our black paint. Black paint, and I'm going to squirt it back into that black paint tray. And I'm going to keep my black out just in case I need some more. I'm going to set that black paint to the side and put the rest of those paints up. Dip my brush back in my water and swirl that black paint around in my little tray. So if you have a cup, bowl, plate, and you're adding more paint, just dip your brush in the water and start swirling that black paint around in whatever your black paint is in. And I'm going to try to make it straight as possible. If it's not like perfectly straight, that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect by any means. Okay. So now I'm going to start making the little arms of my cactus. So on the left side of my cactus, on one side, about halfway up. So start at the bottom. For me, where my yellow and my my greens start to meet, that's about halfway up for me. So about right there is where I'm going to make a little arm. So I'm going to, or actually I'm gonna do it down in the yellow. I'm gonna do mine in the yellow. So I'm gonna make a little arm. I'm just gonna paint a line that curves up. So a line and it's curving up like it's saying hi. And then it's going to come, make a curve, and go back down. So it's like, hi, bye. And then I'm going to paint it in. Okay, beautiful. So now I'm going to go down. Um, on the other side of my cactus, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So this arm is going to be about in the orange space for me. I'm not going halfway up. It's going to be about halfway between the bottom of my cactus and my first arm. So the halfway point between the bottom of my cactus and my first cactus arm is going to be in the orange. And I'm going to do the same thing, start in that orange and make a curved line going up. It's going to go up into the yellow. It's going to say hi, curve around, and come back down. And then I'm just going to paint it in. I'm gonna get a little bit more black on my brush and just kind of smooth out that part. Okay, I love it. So now we have our first cactus done, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side of our page. Sorry, I noticed that my cactus didn't come all the way completely down. Okay, so on the other side of our page, we're going to do the same thing, but this is going to be a baby cactus. So with our baby cactus, I'm going to um, do the same thing, how we started at the bottom of our page. It's going to be, it doesn't matter how far over you want your cactus to be. I want mine to be right here. I have a little hill, so I want mine to be like right beside of that little hill. So my cactus is going to go up until it's about in the yellow space, right before it gets to that green space right there. So I'm going to start by drawing a line going up into the yellow space right here, and then it's going to curve around and come back down. And then I'm dipping back into my black paint, and I'm just going to paint that in. Okay, beautiful. So now we're going to go back into the black, and I'm going to do the arms. So this time, I know I started on the left side last time, but this time I'm going to start on the right side. And this arm is going to go up to, just up to the space where the yellow and the orange kind of meet. And it's going to be halfway up my cactus. So halfway for me is going to be in the orange, halfway between the bottom of the cactus and the top of the cactus. So it's going to be in the orange. I'm going to draw a curved line going up. It's going to say hi, curve it around, and bring it back down. And then I'm just going to paint it in. All right, and the last arm on our cactus, I'm going to do it. It's going to be, let's see. this one I can make a little bit higher. So I'm gonna start up in the, well, I think I want it lower actually. What do you guys think? Should I do it lower or higher? Here I have one lower, I have one higher. So I guess higher for me would be right here in the orange. So I'm going to draw a curve going up. Curve it around, bring it back down. And paint it in. So this does look a little bit funny because of how unproportional it is. So I'm going to take my black and I'm going to make my cactus a little bit taller. The way I'm going to make my cactus taller is right here where the arm of my cactus is. I'm just going to go along. I'm just going to like draw an extra head on top of my cactus essentially. So I'm going to take my draw a line going up into the green and then back down. And then I'm going to paint it in so that it looks better. Much better. There we go. So I'm going to get my paintbrush a little bit wet. And I'm just going along the outside of my cactus and trying to paint in where there's those little white lines. But our cactus sunset is all done. So here's the finished product. Da, 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 da. I had so much fun painting this with you guys. I'm sure everyone did a great job. It looks beautiful. I hope you had as much fun painting this with me as I did because I really had a blast with it. If you guys painted one or you plan on painting one, make sure that you take a picture of it and drop it in the comments or message it to the Get Your Play Online Facebook account. But we have story time coming up at 7 and again at 9, and I'll be reading a bedtime story to you guys. Make sure you tune back in for that later on. But until then, just keep checking back on our Facebook page for all the fun things we have planned for you guys. I had fun and I can't wait to do this again with you guys again. Have a great rest of your day and I'll see you later for story time. Bye, everyone.